So this is a question about sequence and series, and we have a sequence here. There is circle, there are dots, there are lines that join them. We drew the pattern number 3, and then we did the table. We understand this is about the number of dots, so we were counting the dots, and then we were counting the lines. Now, in the next part, it's taking us to SN. So what is SN when I'm dealing with question with sequence and series? That means sum, isn't it? So sum, SN, is the total number of dots required to make the first n patterns, where n belong to n. And we have to write SN in terms of n. Okay, now look, a lot of letters, and it's sometimes difficult to understand that way. So let's make that slightly more understandable. So a total number of dots that is required to make the first, and let's say 10 patterns. Okay, we get that. So we are saying, well, if I want to draw 10 patterns, here I have 1, 2, 3, 4. I could draw 5, the 6, the 7. So the question is, well, how many dots altogether, if I add all those dots, that I need in order to do 10 patterns? So we can understand that a little bit better. So what is the SN? What are they referring here? What is that sum? In our table, we have a formula. So if we go to page, I was at financial maths, page 22, the sequence and series, here we have an SN formula for the arithmetic sequence. How do I know that this arithmetic sequence? Because every time we add the same value. And in this case, we add in +1, isn't it? Okay, so the first thing, we write down our formula. Sn, that will be n divided by 2, multiply bracket 2 multiply by a plus n minus 1 multiply by d. Now, in order to use this formula, I need to know what the letters mean so that I can replace them. And if you look in your table here, they are saying that A, so even whether it's the Tn formula or Sn formula, n means the first term. And then we have D, that means the common difference. So applying to our question, that means the first term. What's the first term? That's 2, isn't it? What's that D, that common difference? What does that mean? They're saying, well, how much are we adding every time? And in this case, we know we are adding 1. Okay, what about n? Well, our answer has to be in terms of n. That means have to have letter n included. So n will remain n. So n over 2 multiply 2, and instead of the first of a, we know the first term is 2 plus bracket n remain n, 1 multiply, and d, that common difference we understand is 1. Okay, so what can we do with numbers here? Well, we can multiply 2 by 2, and then we can multiply this bracket by 1. So n over 2, that's n over 2, multiply 2 by 2, that's 4, plus 1 by n, that is just 1 by n, 1 by minus 1, minus 1. Now, don't get caught here. Use your calculator. Sometimes 1 multiplied by 1, I am thinking, isn't that 2? So make sure you use calculator. And then 4 minus 1, we can as well add them together. When we put that in the calculator, we'll get that that is 3. So 3 plus n. And we don't have to multiply the bracket. We can leave it in that form. That is a good form. So let's not forget, what does that n means here? That means the number of patterns. Number of patterns that I am considering, that I am going to be adding, isn't it? That's what that n means. Sn means what? How many dots in total? If I have 10 patterns, how many dots in total? Okay, let's have a look at next part. So next part is saying hence, meaning what? With that knowledge, with this formula for the total number of dots, we have to do what? Find the total number of completed patterns Okay, so they are asking, well, how many patterns? So they are actually asking me for this letter N. That means they must have given me a total number of dots in patterns in the sequence that can be made using 740 dots. So that's what it is. 740, that's how many dots I have altogether. And I'm looking, well, how many patterns? So the number of patterns, so I'm looking for N. Now, how do I solve it? Well, I have to multiply this bracket, isn't it? Now, what is confusing here is that fraction. Always remember, when you have a fraction, what you have on top of the fraction can be brought beside the fraction. So that means I have what? Number 1 left here, because if there is no number in front of the letter, we have 1. So the reason why I'm saying it, because then that makes it easier for us to do. So we have a half n multiplied by 3. So in this case, I can put in my calculator a half multiplied by 3 and get an answer. So 740 equal half multiplied by 3 will give me 3 over 2. And then let's not forget about n. And again, I have half n multiplied by n. Half is not going to get multiplied by anything. Hold on, let me write. So I have half multiplied by n, that's what it means, and then that has to be multiplied by n. So the only thing I can do that those two n's multiply, I can write in abbreviated form as n to the power of 2. Now, in any calculation that you have, once you hit that letter to the power of 2, what do you think about minus b formula, isn't it? Now, minus b formula, that means all numbers on one side. So before I can apply it, I have to move that 740 to the other side. Let's arrange that in order so that we don't mix up the A, the B, and the C, isn't it? So 740 move side, change the sign. Now, some of you might be thinking, oh yeah, let me eliminate fraction. You can, or you can leave it with the fraction because we're going to put everything in calculator anyway. So what is the value of A? A will be what? A half. B is going to be plus 3 over 2. And C is going to be minus 740. So in this case, it's n not x. I'm looking for minus b plus minus b to the power of 2 minus 4 multiplied by A multiplied by C. By the way, where is that in your table? Page 20, isn't it? I think. Let's just quickly look. Yes, page 20, indeed, that's where you have that. Now let's replace those letters with numbers. Our b is 3 over 2, so we remove b and we put 3 over 2 in that place. So 3 over 2. You're asking me, can we have a decimal? Yes, we can. In this case, yes, we can. In what case we shouldn't? When our decimal, when our fraction doesn't have an end once it's changed to a decimal. We leave it then as a fraction. Again, value of A, that's my half, so I'm replacing A with a half, and then C, my last one, minus 740, and we put all of that in the calculator and we press equal, and one value we're going to get is 37 and the other value is minus 40. Now remember, when minus b formula, what do we need to always remember about? Always check if both answers are applicable in the context of the question. Now, what was n? What was n representing? What we were trying to find? Find what? The total number of patterns. So, can I have 37 patterns? Yes, I can. Can I have minus 40 patterns? No, I cannot. So, that is not an applicable answer. 37 is our answer here.